Welcome back to Maker Monday at the Independence Public Library. My name is Caitlin, and I'm glad that you joined me again today. This morning we are going to be making a craft inspired by the rainbow fish. Have you read this book? It's one of my favorite books. So let's get started. For today you will need a paper plate for the body of the fish. You will need colored paper of some kind for the fins. Mine is blue. And then you will need lots of different colored paper for the scales of the fish. You'll also need scissors and glue, and then you'll need paint or crayons or markers to color the fish. And then you can use glitter if you'd like. That didn't come in the kits, but if you have some at home, you can use that. And then the kit came with a googly eye. So I will pause here for you to collect your supplies. If you'd like to come into the library, we do still have kits available. Okay, now that we have our kits and all of our supplies, let's get started. First, we want to paint or color on our plate. So I've chosen the color blue for the body of my fish. I'm going to turn my plate, it's upside down. If you can see that, I'm coloring on the back side of the plate. Like I said, you could use a marker or a crayon, or if you have paint, you could do that too. So I will color my plate and we'll come back together. Okay, so now that we're back, I wanted to just show you a couple different ways that you could have done your plate. So this plate is painted. You can see I use paint here to make the blue color. This plate is just marker. I just used a marker to color it all blue, and this one's crayon. So I think they all look pretty cool, and you can see that they all will look a little bit different depending on which one you want to use. So I'm going to use the plate that I painted. And our next step here, now that it's dry, and we've cleaned up our mess, we want to cut out the mouth of the fish. So we're going to cut a triangle out of the plate here on the side. If you'd like, you could draw it on the back side of the plate and then follow your lines, or you could just cut it out yourself if you're brave. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut out my triangle here. We don't want it to go too far into the fish, but we want it to be just far enough. This is going to become his mouth. So there's his mouth, you can see, and then we still have our triangle shape. Hold on to this triangle piece because we're going to be using it for something here in a little bit. Next, what we want to do is we want to cut out some shapes out of our piece of paper. Again, mine is blue, for his fins. So the rainbow fish, if you remember, has these fins on the bottom of his body and at the top. So we want to use the paper to try to mimic that. So again, you could draw your shapes and then cut them out. I'm just going to cut mine out. You can make them really long and kind of skinny wavy, or you can make them a little shorter. So now that we have our fins and we have our tail, we're going to glue those shapes onto the fish. So we're going to turn our fish over and we're going to glue these shapes onto the back side so that when they're glued down, we can see them from the front. So I have a glue stick. You could use liquid glue if you wanted. You could even use tape if you don't have glue, but your mom or dad has tape at home. That would work too. You kind of have to press hard here because the plate has kind of these different shapes on it. If you're not sure how it's going to look, you can always turn it over and see. And remember that the spot that you cut out is going to be the mouth. So I actually might move my piece and put it a little bit more towards the top. There's no right or wrong way. And then we're going to take this piece that we cut out for his mouth and we're going to glue that onto him as well. That's going to become his tail, actually. So I put a lot of glue on that just because it's a thick piece of paper. We glue that on the back side. So do you see your fish? You can kind of see how it's coming together. We've got the fins at the top and at the bottom, and then we've got the tail on the side. I see a fish coming together. So now that those are done, our next step is to add the scales of the fish. So if you remember when I showed you all my supplies, I have all these colors and these dots already cut out. This is what came in the kit at the library. But if you have just regular colored paper, you could cut out circles of any size that you'd like. So the way that this works is you're going to take the paper and you're going to fold it in half. And then you're just going to glue down that back half of the paper onto the fish. And you're going to make rows. So you could make as many rows as you'd like. You can make rows of 4, you can make rows of 7. And you're going to glue them down so that when they're glued down, they kind of stick out like that. And my tail keeps coming off of my fish. I don't know about yours. He doesn't want to stick on there very well. So with all these colors that we have, you can make a pattern. You could have them all be the same color. You could have them be 2 colors. It's really up to you. I'm going to have mine kind of be all different colors. So I'm going to glue these down, and you can watch as I do that. You can glue your own down, and then we'll come back together. Okay, now that we're back together, I finished putting the scales on my fish, and you can see, do you see how some of them are sparkly? How I put glitter on some of them? The glitter is kind of black, but it's pretty shiny too, so you can catch that. So the story of the rainbow fish, if you know the story, the rainbow fish is a fish that has a lot of these sparkly scales, but none of his friends have any, and they all want a sparkly scale. He's kind of afraid, though, to give away his sparkly scales because he feels like they make him special. And then he starts to maybe lose some friends because he's not sharing. So if you read the book, you'll find out what happens, but I promise you he gets to keep a couple of his sparkly scales. So it's a nice book about friendship and about how we treat our friends and what we do with our friends, if we share with our friends or if we keep everything to ourselves. He's still happy in the end, and he has quite a few friends at the end of the story. So I encourage you to check that book out. Okay, our fish is missing one thing. Do you know what that is? I think he's missing an eyeball, so I'm going to put an eye on him. So again, my kit came with a googly eye, and it's got a sticker on the back that I can take off and stick right on my fish. So you can choose where you want to put it and stick it right on there. If you don't have one of these, you could also just draw one with a crayon or a marker. So there we have it. There's our rainbow fish. He's pretty cool looking. You could make him in any color. I call him a rainbow fish just because of the book, and he's got the sparkly scales. But he's also kind of a rainbow fish because he has a full rainbow of scales on the side. It's pretty neat. So again, you can make this with a painted plate or with markers or crayons. They all will look very cool. And I'd love to see a picture of your completed fish when you're done. So now we have a fish that you could add to your shark craft, or a couple weeks ago we made a unicorn journal. This is yours to keep, and you can hang it up in your house or in your bedroom. But next time we come together, we have a special project, and I really hope that you come back and join us. So The Rainbow Fish book is about friendship, and so I picked out a couple other books from the library that are also about friends that you might enjoy as well. I'm going to start with this chapter book. It's called Ivy and Bean. These are the girls' names, Ivy and Bean. That's a pretty cool name, I think. And you can see it's got pictures inside, but it's also a nice chapter book. And it's a series, so we have 3 of these in the series if you're interested in that. We have a book by Eric Carle called Friends. Eric Carle draws really pretty pictures in his books, and you might enjoy that book as well. This one's called Goodbye Friend, Hello Friend. It talks about the ways that we say goodbye and hello to each other during the day. We say goodbye to the moon and we say hello to the sun every day. It's a nice story. And then lastly, because we talked about the rainbow fish, I also picked the book called The Pout Pout Fish. You can see his face, he looks a little sad, he's pouting, or that's what it looks like. But if you read this book, you'll find out that he's not always gloomy as you read the story. I hope that you enjoyed our craft today. I hope that you had fun making your own rainbow fish. Remember to clean up your mess at home so that you can continue making crafts with me. And we'll see you back in a couple weeks. Goodbye.